Good. How you doing?
Doing pretty good so far. Getting
All
everything,
right.
trying to get everything up and running and rolling around. And
Mm-hmm.
um, if you want, I don't know if you can, but on the second hour of Vixen's Vault tonight, would you like to pop in? Uh, Nancy's
Oh.
not Nancy cannot come in tonight. She has an infection, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, she was at the hospital. So
What
yeah.
time is that? Your time?
My time it would be 9 p.m. So that's what
So
6
eight
p.m. your
o'clock my
time.
time. I'm. Well, you're Mountain. No, you're Central. So I'm
I'm
2 hours
Central, but no,
earlier
that
than you.
my time it would be like 8 o'clock.
So it'd be like 6 o'clock my time.
Yeah.
Um, 3, 4, 5, and then 3 to 5. Yeah, and then an hour off, and then 6, 5 to 6, and then 6 to 7. Yeah, I can probably do that.
All right. Just on the second hour,
Okay.
I'll bring you
And
in.
Barry, I do have Brent on tonight.
Okay. Yep. Yep. That'd be
All right.
So if you know, you can do the pre-show, you can have, whatever you want to do.
Okay. You just got
Hell,
to.
join us in the first hour too if you want.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably just listen in, but I might.
Hmm.
Anyway, I got to get this set up because it is not working like it's supposed to be. Hold on.
Yeah. I'm having a problem with one of the BitChute tonight, getting it to stream. So let me try to get it going. You gonna make it?
Yeah, I'll make it.
All right.
I just took a allergy pill.
Did that. Had to do that yesterday. Nope. It cut me off. Okay. Well.
Okay, clue what that was about. Just be patient. Something's going to give, and I'll be right. We'll be right back. There seems to be a little bit of technical difficulty going on at the moment. Yeah, give it a second. I had to hit refresh, see if maybe it's that something like that going on. It could be on my end, so hopefully it's not, and I will be able to get this up and going again. Whew. I have absolutely no idea what's going on. It's just acting strange. Now that I have some of these browsers open too, I could probably go ahead and see what's happening there. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on. Start dropping off some of these browsers.
Nancy cannot come in tonight.
Going on. Yeah, there we go. Got YouTube still up and going. Test X out again, see if it's streaming. There we go.
Okay. I was wondering what was going on with that. Like, I thought we had. I thought it was just me trying to connect up again. And I was on the wrong deal, but no.
All right.
Oh, here we go. And we're just waiting on Barry to show up for pre-show if he's coming in.
I don't know. I'm at a loss of words for all this. Yeah, give me a second. I'm having some serious issues going on with these tabs. For some reason, the channels are freezing up on me, and I have absolutely no idea what the reason for that is. So I guess it isn't me at the moment. Vegas Productions will return soon, according to this. So there we go. We got it. It looks like it's up.
Did catch that one of our rotations played with Angel on it. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah. I think it was like the very
From
first
Beam.
interview. Angel, yeah, from Beam.
Bing.
Beam.
Oh
best
man, it's
place to
raining really
multi-stream.
good here.
Oh, I'm no longer with Logitech now. I'm with, I changed sponsors to Alexander PC. The crew that gives out all those PCs over there on Beam. I think they do it like quarterly now, or something like that.
Mhm.
They just gave away a $4,000 computer to the winner.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a whole package. I mean, it's a
God.
top end gaming system. Miss Trash is in the kick chat.
Hey, I gotta go grab something to drink. I'll be back in a minute.
Sounds good, because I got folks coming in. I'll just announce them coming in to fill some of this airtime. Jesse Cast 2 in kick chat. Miss Trash is a big supporter of the channel. Thank you always for being there. I got to take in a host to her earlier today. And look forward to always seeing her in chat. Appreciate you. And Smoke in Peace is always in here too. Smoke in Peace. Let's see who. Nikki Tude is in the kick chat a lot of times. And Shadow Grind. Big supporters of the channel. Appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for always being here. Tonight, Sunday night and Wednesday night are like my big live nights when I put my radio shows through the video streams. If you're out there and you appreciate them, please let my hosts know. All right? Because during breaks, we're going to start getting more interactive with our folks, and we hope you can take and be more interactive with us as well.
That's right.
Uh-oh, looks like someone's trying to get in.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Hold on here.
You lobby?
Yeah, in the lobby.
Thornberry.
Yeah.
Admit.
Just
Bam.
let him in, I guess.
Let him in. I'm letting
Let him in.
Yeah.
Let him in.
Man, what's going on?
You are what's going on. That's right. You.
I am sick of
How's
this
it going, Barry?
insults, man. I'm sick of it, dude.
Oh, come on. Where's
Sick of
the
what?
energy at? Come on. Folks are in here. We're building up in the chat rooms. Don't bring that low energy in here. You
Remember that
got
song? We're building up.
I didn't even hear what he said. What are you sick of, Barry? What's going on?
It's just insolence, man. I'm tired of the insolence, you know? No, I get no respect. I get no respect. Not even from the computer.
You're like Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah, no
Bull
respect. No respect. No, it's Barry. Insolence. Oh, I get insolence.
Insolence. Sick of it, man.
Where's the bullhorn at, Barry?
It's sitting over. It's waiting for some real action. You know, it's been kind of complaining to me, saying, you know, I don't appreciate you just using me on the radio. It says I need you out in the streets. And I said, hey man, time has not come yet.
To get out in the streets?
You just can't go out there with Antifa when they're having an intifada and bring out
Yeah,
the.
right.
You just may not come out, you know.
Worldwide intifada.
Global intifada, man. I'm sick of it already.
That's right. You tell them.
I still can't believe I told that guy to hit the road, man. He's a big old boy, dude, a prison boy. You know what I'm saying? He just got out of prison.
Didn't you say get the fuck out of the country or something?
Hey, no gateway stuff
I did,
now.
man. I can't believe I said
we're
it.
just
Shocked.
before a showtime, all right?
It's okay. This ain't my first rodeo, Mark.
Yeah, I know, but you know, hey.
Well, he kept saying how much he hated America and Israel couldn't, no longer needed to needed to be blown off the map, and I just lost it, man. I was like, if you hate America so much, just Anyway, yeah. And he'd been in prison. He's a big boy, dude, and he's a militia guy too. One of those Islamic militias. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what is some weird group that
You know what
I
they
don't
call an Islamic militia? A terrorist cell.
I don't know. I know that he was in prison for guns and maybe terrorist threats or something, but he got let out. I had another person I knew that got put in jail for a while in Oklahoma for terrorist threats, and he was just kind of just not in his right mind. That's what
Come to think of it, dude. I had a guy contact me the other day, said he wanted to send you some fan mail, so I gave him your home address.
and he had that accent from I don't know somewhere in the Middle East, and he was saying something about intifada, jihad, and
Yep, blood. Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah,
that's the guy.
That's the guy.
Only blood will satisfy. Yeah, only blood will satisfy Allah.
Mm-hmm.
All the love of the religion. That's the thing, I'll be right back. I think I'm gonna need some coffee, man.
Yeah.
I really do. I'm gonna hit the coffee
start
bar.
Singing "Love, Love Me Do," that's it, man. I'm pulling the plug. That's it.
Love me do.
Yeah.
Little Beatles action. See, a Holly Weirdo said something that made sense. I can't remember.
Keep having some issues here. I don't really know what the deal is. I'm just gonna close out that freaking tab. And that's it. Right. All right. I'll go ahead and put some music on for you.
Lights and sky. No explaining, hearts are racing, chasing shadows, thrills in flight, hovering, unseen trace, fueled by mystery, unprovoked proof, mavericks, electricity, we're feeling the roof. You better look up with wide-eyed sight, they're passing above like stars so bright. Ooh, drones across the skies. Whoa. Drones across the skies. Silent shards pierce the cloudy night, hover calmly, freedom lies. Wings of the unknown defy our sight, travelers of darkened land, curious wanderers changing the red sky. Secrets now within our hand. You better look up with wide-eyed sight, they're passing above like stars so bright. Ooh, drones across the skies. Whoa, drones across the skies, moving in formation above the light. New Jersey skies, a thrilling flight. Up with wide-eyed sight, they're passing above like stars so bright. Ooh, drones across the skies. Whoa, drones across the skies. Whoa.
My tech lizard's feeling low, circuits fried, can't glow. Silicon scales won't shine. Once a star, now it's mine. Reptile dysfunction, gears and bites malfunction, reptile dysfunction, heart of a bot in detention. Microchips gone haywire, no more robot fire. Pixelated dreams have died, holograms cannot hide. Wigging in the night, try to make it right. Wires crossed in flight, dawn brings no light.
If the times I come alone, yeah, stop recording on you. You're something life, I've been rushing to be sunburned. I feel this in the wild, in the wild, in the wild, in the wild. I go mad in the tracks, chasing ghosts of you. Every mirror shows her face. Alright. Honey unbelief, still over, and attend my teeth. If I'll take a figure, I'll start to hurt. Talking was every two, midnight nights and up to side to feel some purple. In the wild, in the wild. By the road, by the road, by the road, by the road. Echoes of you every time I lose track. In her past, chasing dreams, her dreams, chasing dreams, that dream. Gonna ride like mama in that silver stream. Every photo with her smile, she's a star in my mind. Won't deny in the night, in the night, in her eyes. Stars above like the ones in mama's life. On the move, we move, always on, never still. She says she'll find her promised land with every mile, destiny she defies. Living loud, just like mama, wild and free. In the mirror of her soul I see traces of her fearless dreams.
Night falls, drones in flight, bird ring through the sky seekers, where you at lights flash, hypnotize. We are the watchers. We are the seekers. We are the dreamers. We are the dreams. Let's fly. Let's fly.
The way to bring people together in this year that's ahead of us might be to try to show them how, when our founding fathers launched the fight to give us independence, they had no agreed upon vision yet of where this was going. All they knew is they wanted to unshackle themselves from England, and then they did amidst
the country, but the wealth of the individuals, the wealth of the country, the wealth of everything. I mean, the homes,
the watchers.
the real estate, the shopping centers, the malls, everything that makes America great is just so unique, kind of. To our experience, the success that we've seen.
right. Well, it is, when our founding fathers got around a few years later to actually trying to codify a nation with a constitution, what they drew upon was the best of all of the great minds. Of the Enlightenment and those that had come before, and all of the and observing all the things that led to what I'll just generate.
Yeah, looks like this one's going to go haven't got any time for this crazy shit. Do my shows, no problem whatsoever.
all
With the
dimensions,
somebody
I
else's show,
hold you
set
near.
up all these
This
issues.
cosmic dance that we can't
It has
explain
nothing to do with it. It
defies
has to
the
do with
laws,
you.
but breaks no chain. When planets
So,
shift
yeah.
and stars collide in this universe, lights and skies, they glide at night. No explaining, hearts are racing. Chased in shadows, thrills in flight. Hovering, unseen trace. Fueled by mystery, unprovoked proof. Mavericks, electricity, we're feeling the roof. You better look up with wide-eyed sight. They're passing above like stars so bright. Ooh, drones across the skies. Whoa, drones across the skies. Silent sharks pierce the cloudy night. Hover calmly, freedom lies. Wings of the unknown defy our sight. Travelers of darkened land. Curious wanderers changing the red sky. Secrets now within our hand. You better look up with wide-eyed sight. They're passing above like stars so bright. Ooh, drones across the skies. Whoa, drones across the skies, moving in formation above the light. New Jersey skies, a thrilling flight. Up with wide-eyed sight. They're passing above like stars so bright. Ooh, drones across the sky.
The population of the colonies at that time was right in the million, in a few millions, and the literacy rate was probably to the point where 500,000 darn near, represented almost everyone who could read.
I remember
And then,
too that back then, very common to share books, literally physically share them, because it's not like, there were you could go on Amazon, anybody wanted to, and download a copy instantly for $9.
Silicon scales won't
What
shine.
it is.
And since we are about to celebrate the Declaration of
it's
Independence,
mine.
and you work at humanevents.com, that's right, Human Events. Think about it, folks. It took me a day or two to let this ring, but yeah, human events. What are human events? When in the course of human events, right? Of the first line of the Declaration of Independence. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for two peoples to separate each other from common law or yada yada. Human events really was the term used for news back in the day, when you look at it that way, right? So your storied publication that's been around since what, the 60s, 50s?
No, 1944.
Oh, wow, okay.
It is the oldest surviving conservative publication. And 1944. What's interesting about 1940 men who came together to start it, World War II was still going on. And so one thing to start a bold, new, courageous publication literally once the smoke had cleared. But they started it while the fighting was still in full force. So they get a tremendous amount of credit for that. The name is derived from the Declaration of Independence, so it's not a coincidence. That is where the founders of it got the name. So there's great lineage there, and a real tie to the fourth.
It's pretty impressive, and we thank you as the vice president of Human Events Media Group to join us, and that includes Post Millennial and just so many talented people in those two organizations. It's kind of impressive to know you so well, Brent, because you're associated with really some of the top news people in the business.
Yeah, well, it's nice when you're a nobody. It's nice to know somebody's, because then you get to be on your show, right? So if I didn't know somebody's, I would just be a nobody listening to your show. So it's nice, but
so I'm somebody you're saying, and okay, I get it.
So we're caretakers of a great tradition, and we've got some really exciting new things that will be coming up with human events that I might be able to share with you and your audience, say by this time next month, certainly by the start of football season. So, but some big new things happening, and we're excited about those.
Fantastic. I look very much forward to hearing some of that news as it evolves and comes out. But let's get into, we were talking about how to bring people together, and I think one of the things that we need to really start pushing is the rise of the Democratic Socialist Party, right? And really calling them out for what it is, and just having that honest debate and saying, look, we've got this, Zoran Mamdani in New York City, right? Which I call him the "Don't Mess with Zohan" Mad Manny.
Right.
So, we like to give him good names. So Zohan Mad Manny is who I call him because he's a madman. And he's going to go in here and privatize the grocery stores. Privatize and turn free the system, which hey, whatever. It's mostly privatized anyways with transit authority. But he's got all these different things to slap rent controls down across the board, to go into white neighborhoods and raise the taxes on them, on and on and on. But at the end of the day, I was watching Peter Jennings earlier today, sitting down next to somebody on CNN who was saying, well, he's not a communist, he's not a socialist. Just, he's walked away from a few of those things he said in the past. But, the AOC, the Squad, these people are democratic socialists. And I think at the end of the day, that's the radical wing of the left, of Team Left, that is, causing the most stink and really yelling and complaining about them. And they're the ones we need to call out and just have that honest debate with, to say, do we really want socialism in America? I don't know. How can we force that debate and make them admit this is what it is? It's the privatization, the government control of the means of production.
Right. Well, the real functional definition of socialism, as we've shared on your show before, is centralized planning, management, and oversight of economic, social, and political activity. And so this is what we're talking about. And so, interesting, the term democratic socialism is pretty interesting, right? It reminds me of, I was going to go somewhere I won't go because it's a family show. All I can say is there's an old show movie with Henry Winkler and Michael Keaton called Night Shift, where Michael Keaton goes to a chalkboard and takes apart the word prostitution. I'll leave it there. You can probably watch the short clip on YouTube. But let's just play with democratic socialism for a minute. Let's get rid of the democratic. Because it's so interesting to realize all that is a silly, unnecessary term to make socialist sound better. What's a democratic socialist? A democratic socialist who believes in being elected by the people to be a socialist. That's all it means. There's nothing, the word democratic isn't really necessary because we live in a country where you have to be elected to win the axiomatic principle. So, we can get rid of democratic. Let's just say he's a socialist. And what's interesting about it is that, by the way, it's not a foregone conclusion he's going to be elected mayor of New York. This is going to be a chicken soup sort of general election. We're going to have multiple characters on the ballot. And
you got Adams, who's the current mayor. Adams is running, and he's not been horrible. You got Silva, who's the guy who ran the underground
the Guardian Angels.
Guardian angels, exactly.
Yep.
And then you got Cuomo, who likes to kill grandma in a nursing home. And they're all going to fight like crazy, yeah.
Right. Well, what's interesting is, think about it. Having him win the Democratic primary is the best news in the world Curtis Silla could have had. Because if he's on the ballot against Adams and Cuomo, let's put it this way. Nobody who is going to vote for Silla in the first place would vote for the other three. But anybody that was going to vote for any one of the other three might vote for the other. So those three could be, cats in a laundry bag tossed over the line. You could wind up, with a law and order Republican mayor of New York. But, back to the notion of being a socialist and the simple definition of centralized planning, management, and oversight of economic, political, and social activity. It's that simple. That's exactly what he wants to do. And he wants to do it by all accounts and everything he said since he was elected and before, or nominated, I should say, excuse me. He is a very hardcore socialist. He believes in doing a lot to plan, manage, and oversee those areas of New York City life. So much so that some of the things he's talking about may not be constitutional in the state of New York. They may not be constitutional, period. He's attacking the notion of private property so severely that he may run into problems not with the New York Supreme Court, but with the United States Supreme Court. What does it say, though, that the people of New York, by the way, Election day in New York was hotter than hell, near record-breaking temperatures, and people should not think that only 10 people showed up to vote. They had a very heavy turnout in New York for the primary, and people voted for him. So what does it say? It says that 250 years later, this country is far from unified over the ideas of
I'm probably gonna have to end this. It's getting just a little too ridiculous. So, yeah.
it was still a decade or so away in France and other parts of Europe.
I believe my audio is completely out.
And on that note, Brent, we got to go to break. Folks, we'll be right back with more from Brent Hamachek from humanevents.com right after this.
All right. You know where I'm. You know where you Brett probably would know about that. The quote that I'm talking about.
Yeah, and in the time, you're you're talking about the fact that it was then, even though
and really calling them out
not
for
like
what
today, but
having that
still a major center of population. It was also the where you could find the core of the anti-federalist movement.
Yep.
And so to that extent, there's your hint that it's going to be a problem.
Yep.
Never meaning though. It's just it's so funny to think about how we think in terms of today.
We'll be right back with
and
more from Brent
even
Hamachek
learned
from
people like
humanevents.com right after
ourselves
this.
can get careless and start to think about today as though it was the same yesterday. And I don't
All
think
right.
most people stop to realize
Do you know where I'm?
that notions of socialism really just hadn't even, I mean, they were seedlings in Europe when our Constitution came around. They were nothing in 1776. I mean, this is a movement that really came up in the early part of the 19th century and accelerated greatly. You know, when Marx wound up writing the Communist Manifesto, everybody thinks, Karl Marx, the father of communism today. But the movement was already well alive, and Marx was not the first choice to write that book. He kind of, got lucky and got the job. There were other people they really wanted to write that piece within the socialist movement.
Yeah, wasn't there someone who co-authored that with him, but later that person was taken off of the authorship? I think it was some Mason or some Freemason.
That I'm not sure about. I mean, Engels was his benefactor and partner. Engels paid all his bills. They wrote Das Kapital together, although Marx was the writer and Engels was really the bank. Ironically, Engels was a very successful capitalist who helped Marx write against the system, which is interesting because what we see today, when you take a look at the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world and other successful entrepreneurs, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, people who have made a fortune off of the free enterprise system and now turning to attack it, we almost should have known that could happen just from where it started from a literary perspective. When you've got Engels, the big successful corporate, entrepreneur, rich guy, supporting Marx in his writing while he tears the system to pieces. So we probably should have learned something from that, I suspect.
Yeah, and then it goes all the way into the Rockefellers with old man Rockefeller's memoirs as well. How, communism would be good so long as we control it. 30 seconds, fellas.
Okay.
And for the people counting, Brent just had another sip of Fresca, so everyone do a shot.
Hilarious. I got another full can here with me too for the second half.
You don't drink anymore, but boy, you can make other people drink.
It better be a 64-ouncer, Brett, because we want you all pumped and going. Here's your countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're live and on the radio side right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show. Tonight, we've got with us Brent Hamachek from humanevents.com, a regular co-host on the show. Comes on every month with us on the first Wednesday. If you're a longtime listener, you know Brent very, very well. And again, we were talking about democratic socialists, but I'd like to also ask you about this one because it always throws me for a loop. We see the anti-fascist out there, anti-fascist. Right. They wear the black outfits and they go cause trouble everywhere they go. Okay, you hate fascism. We get it. What do you want? What do they want? If you ask them, they'll tell you a lot of times that they are anarcho-communists. So you want to try to string that together and make sense of it? Anarcho-communist.
Right. Yeah. Well, you've read my book and what I say when I talk about the labels we've created. Look, it's a nonsensical term. By the way, just like alt-right, new right, different kinds of terms like that, they don't mean anything. They really don't. There is
Mhm.
no camp you can go into that has the platform of these terms we use to pejoratively describe others. And then when people get caught in the trap of trying to label themselves, the reason you get a label like say narco-communist is, why do you get the label? Well, because nobody wants to say, I'm a communist. I shouldn't say nobody wants to say it. I'm sure there's many people that do. Certainly people that read Marx and didn't pay attention to Stalin, they might say they want to be communists. They think it could be pretty good, right?
Mhm.
But if you're going to describe yourself with any term good that their nuclear threats eliminated and so on. This stuff means nothing. Neither China nor Russia want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. To some extent, they might be happy the United States jumped in. That doesn't mean they're our friend, and it doesn't mean they're not Iran's friend. Let's watch what they do with regard to regular conventional weapon sales over, say, the remainder of this year. I have no idea what they're going to do. All I know is the glass of water is spilled all over the table. And anybody who has kids knows you don't know where to put the napkin. The region is now fully engaged. Israel succeeded in drawing us into this. Is what it is. I've said it on your show before. The great problem with Israel isn't necessarily its behavior, it's our attitude towards Israel in general. We regard them as a religious state instead of a nation state. And so our evaluation of their actions and how we decide to support them in various endeavors, financially and militarily, is driven not off of their being a nation state. It's because we view them as a religious state. And that clouds our judgment. And it is what it is. I don't know how you change that. But in any sense, I heard the news the night about the night we attacked Iran, and not much worries me. That worried me. I was worried that night, not knowing what would come next.
Yeah.
And as time passes, it's easier to stop worrying, but we shouldn't stop worrying, because the idea that something didn't happen 10 minutes later means nothing.
I just figured out the best way to describe Brent Hamachek to somebody, right?
Boy.
I'll say, how there's glass half full and glass half empty kind of people?
Right.
Brent will just spill the glass all over the table and tell you, some esoteric.
Yeah.
Anyway, last month when you were on, it was this. Go ahead.
I kind of like that, I guess. I think that might work.
Yeah. Anyway, last month was the start of Pride Month, and I mentioned, I think you came on like the 4th of the month. I'm like, hey, there doesn't seem to be much going on, and as we have now just finished Pride Month, it almost like it didn't happen this year. And some interesting news. Charles Payne came out with a tweet the other day saying Jaguar's April 2025 European sales plunged 97.5% from 1,960 to just 49 vehicles. In April of 2025, Jaguar sold 49 vehicles, and so they fired their ad agency. Are you familiar with that ad they put out last year during Pride?
I actually am not, but if you tell me briefly what it was, I'll ramp my brain up quickly.
It didn't have a car. It didn't have anything. All it had was a bunch of trans people, whatnot, in weird dresses and weird clothing, dancing around, talking about, find you and be the new you, and it was very, it was just very weird, and it had no idea. Whoever made that had no idea what the demographic or the key market, who buys Jaguars, right? It's a stodgy old accountant or attorney or whatever who takes it to the country club and back,
Right.
It's not this new age, like 20-year-old hipsters. So anyways, 49 cars. So they've completely abandoned it. They took it in the chin worse than Bud Light did.
Well, and here's what I think is appropriate, and here's what I fear. And we talked a little bit about this last month when we talked in more detail about the upcoming Pride Month. And I certainly would understand if the rejection of, say, Jaguar, if it relates to their ads, that's because people are strongly reconsidering the embrace of the transgender movement. That, I believe, would be a very good thing culturally. What I would fear is that they, along with it, I hope that they do not also begin to more aggressively reject the gay community.
Thank you. That's perfectly said. That was beautifully said.
We talked last month and about, why there might be less enthusiasm. And I shared the notion that so much of this, all the different letters, right? And how the homosexual community over these last 2.5 decades, really, in this century, right? Maybe you can go back to the late 90s. Some of this driven actually by television and the general acceptance into mainstream culture of the homosexual lifestyle. That part of our community has become more accepted. It's less troubling to, it's less troubling to more people. And then comes along this transgender movement and latches itself on. And there's a world of difference between asking people to accept that as a male, I'm attracted to a male versus having them accept as a male, I'm going to tell you I'm a female and you have to pay for my surgery to do that. And by the way, I'm 12. So I think that if people are recoiling a bit against the transgender piece, that could be a very healthy thing for our culture and Western civilization. I hope that they do not attach to it in any way, the gay community, and start to take us backwards from ground that's already been taken.
Yeah, and I think it's very unhealthy for the gay community. I mean, just because your kid likes musicals doesn't mean it's a girl, right? You can't just say, look, this is probably going to just be a healthy gay man when he grows up. We don't need to transition puberty blockers and all that stuff right away, like you said, at 12. I think it actually could be healthy and very good for the gay community to have that buffer and just sort of step back and say, hey, LGB is one thing, T plus Q and the P, start throwing pedophiles in there, and it just gets to be too much. Heck, Spain is looking to impose up to 2 years in prison for parents who refuse to medically transition minors deemed trans by third parties with support from PP, which I assume is the party over there. But, 2 years in jail for saying, hey, wait a minute, let's take a step back and maybe, my son is a boy who maybe is going to grow up to be a healthy gay man, not puberty blockers immediately. But I don't know. I hate to dwell on this stuff, but too long or delve into it too much. But
well, look,
I don't know if you have any parting thoughts. Please add them.
Well, I think as for Spain, they kind of peaked in 1492. It's been all downhill ever since. I think Henry VIII kind of took away the mantle of them as a power, and they never got much back. Columbus in 1492 and Henry VIII with the English Reformation. Anyway, I digress into history. The point is, it's a simple one. We can't be too concerned about what they do in Spain, right? We need to be extraordinarily concerned about what happens right here. And, when we watch these anomalies across the ocean, bizarre behavior, crazy laws. England's got plenty of them these days. All the Western European nations do. We just have to look at that and pretend that we've just gone to a European zoo and looked at the exotic creatures. And then we need to go back home here and make sure we don't let those animals in the door. And so I think it's great that Spain has passed that law, because we can look at how ridiculous that is and not pass one here like it.
Correct. Anyway, and you talk about the UK. I mean, I just saw a couple breaking, news today about different protests that were happening over there, and they're really starting to get to the end of the rope in the UK. It's going to get ugly before it gets better. And I'm noticing a trend. If it's, like in France, we had these riots in the streets after the football games and during the music festival over the weekend. They always say they were mostly peaceful. Okay, then you know it's immigrants that are doing it. If they say it's a racist riot that occurred, you know it's the Scottish people or the English people that are uprising and pissed off about some, event that happened in their community. It's like clockwork. You always look at things here and you say, I wonder what the victim is, who, or the perpetrator is, and I don't know. There, it's starting to get very, very easy to recognize it because they always call them out as racist the second anything happens. But let's get into some economics here a little bit. Tariffs. We're looking at about $200 billion a year coming in from tariffs, on track for where we are right now, which is nothing to sneeze at. I mean, it's not going to fix our deficit or anything.
Nope.
But it's a good line, and we're not seeing much inflation from it. Is this so far to you looking like it's going to work out, or is CNN or CNBC correct?
Well, for starters, the simple answer is, of course it will work out because markets always work. Let me give you a very quick example of what I mean. I used to be a guest instructor in a high school program here in Illinois. Actually got a team teaching award in the state of Illinois, which is kind of nice. They joke and call them the Academy Awards of Illinois Teaching, and a million years ago I got one along with my team. But what I would do on the very first day is I was talking to the kids about economics, and I would come into the room with a pitcher of water and a bucket, and I would explain to them that we were going to talk about how markets work and learn about it over the course of the semester. And what I would start out by doing is say, I want you to watch what happens. And I would take that pitcher of water, hold it above the bucket, and I would pour some in. And all of the water would hit the bucket. And then I would ask for a student to volunteer, and they would come up, and I'd say, I want you to hold out your hand between the pitcher and the bucket. They would do so, and I'd pour the water onto their hand, and most of the water would go into the bucket, and some would spill onto the floor after having bounced off their hand. Sure. Then I would ask for a bunch of students come up, and you can see where this is going.
Yep.
So I'd have all of them put their hands out, and I would pour the water, and of course a great deal of it got on the floor, and only some of it got in the bucket. But what I would explain to them is the market still worked. It still got to its destination, but it was inefficient with a lot of waste. So, of course, the tariffs will work because markets work. And so the United States economy will adjust to whatever it needs to adjust to. Will tariffs cause water to hit the floor? Of course they will. But that's not the way to be considering the tariffs fully, because they need to be thought of not just as an economic tool, but as a geopolitical tool. And from that standpoint, if we can leverage our enemies better like China, that's a good thing. But getting Americans to pay more for Chinese products isn't an end in and of itself unless we can get them to stop buying Chinese products, right? Because they are our mortal enemy. But I don't think that people have much to fear in general from the tariffs at all. I do think that some Americans have a great deal to fear from the tariffs, specifically, meaning there will be businesses that won't be able to make it. There will. That's not a criticism of the tariffs. That's just a fact. There will be companies that close down because very specific to their company, with some very specific item they import, they won't be able to make it. So in general, we'll be fined. Specifically, we'll be harmed. But the markets will continue to work.
Yeah, and in some cases, like we saw with General Electric moving their washing machine production out of China and back over to the United States, hopefully in the long run, we get more, of the investment back into the country than we lose. But in the last 2 minutes we have, I want to mention to you that I listened to your interview with Alan Dershowitz that you mentioned to me last month. You sent me a link. I think that was one of the most intelligent interviews he's ever had. there were several times during that where you could see he was taken aback, and he just was so impressed that you would ask such an intelligent question. Brent, that was phenomenal. And I highly recommend everyone go listen to it.
Well, look, that's very kind of you to say. I appreciate that. Fun talking to Professor Dershowitz. He was complimentary at the end on air, and off air even more so. And that's greatly appreciated by someone like myself who read his first book of the professors when he was in college, right? I mean, when I was, I read my first book of his. And look, he's a brilliant man. I think criminal defense attorneys are the backbone of America. You want to be grateful for something as we head into our 250th year. Be grateful for the fact that we created a country ultimately that provided for defense attorneys to be able to move as unencumbered as they're allowed to within the courtroom. That they are the last bastion of hope. But I enjoyed talking to Professor Dershowitz very much. What you said is very kind, and it's available on YouTube now at the Freedom Chamber channel. You can go and look for the Freedom Chamber channel on YouTube. And I also did an interview I mentioned with Casey Fleming a couple of weeks ago, talking about the threat from China. Also well received, and plan to do more of them. Look, I'm never going to be able to compete with you. But I've been a guest on your show for so long, I better have learned something, right?
We're very different in our attitudes. You came at him with some of the most really in-depth. You and I just have a nice conversation. I just like to sit down with you, talk about some of the things that are going on in the world, but you really came at him prepared. But Brent, we are all out of time. Thank you so much for coming out. Brent Hamanchek, folks, from humanevents.com, humanevents.com. Thank you, Brent.
Thanks very much.
All right, we're going to go to break. We'll be right back after this.
All right, we are on radio break.
Well, I hope that was okay.
Thanks,
Great
Brent.
job, fellas.
That was fun. That was really kind what you said at the end. I appreciated that very much.
I meant it. And I could tell there were certain times where the look on his face was, wow, that's a really good question. And needless to say, a little bit of it, some of it went over my head for sure. But it was one of the most intelligent conversations I've ever heard, him have with anyone.
Well, that's appreciated. I think that, ideas mean everything to me. And so to have an opportunity to talk to someone who's created so many great ideas, and not just ideas, but then put them into action over the course of a 60-plus year service to the public, I think you have an obligation to take that damn seriously if you get a chance to talk to him. So I tried to ask questions that were commensurate with the level of respect I think that he should have. So again, really, I didn't expect that at the end, man. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure, my friend.
Well, guys, have a terrific holiday, and if you didn't celebrate Gay Pride Month at any of the parades, a bunch of 4th of July parades on Fridays, so you can still wear your stuff and go out and march and whatever makes you happy.
I got my Speedo right here. I'm going to put it on. It's red, white, and blue, and we're going to have a good old time.
Yeah, we don't. I'm glad that you don't use the cam because we would be scarred for life. But anyways, appreciate you both. Thanks, Brian.
All right, guys. We'll stay in touch, and we'll talk next month.
All right.
All right. See you then.
We got
Thanks
Sonia listening to us. We got Ninja Ed YouTube in the chat. True Shadow in the chat. We got The Great Conspiracy and Roger Hansen both in chats and restreaming. Those two guys, they're the best. And we got Smoke and Peace somewhere out there too. Yeah, in the Kick chat. And
well, that went well.
And we'll be finishing up with this call and going to the next one pretty soon.
Next caller's from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Barry, what do you got to say?
Oh, no, not that. I will say that it's time to get us loaded up on the next one. So let me get them up and running on the next one. So here we go. That bullhorn Barry guy. Yeah.
Well, Jimmy, how are you doing tonight?
I'm a-doing. How about you? Let's
Yeah, I'm
that,
doing fine.
Let's
Thank you
get
very
our
much.
host in here.
Get him in, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
There he is.
Hey, Barry.
What's up, Jimbo?
Jimbo.
I used to have a friend that I would call Jimbo. I just randomly.
Out of nowhere.
Wasn't his name.
Sure.
And he got so pissed at me. He goes, finally, he said, "Plan, please don't call me Jimbo. I'm very serious." I was like, "What?" He goes, "That's my stepfather's name." And we don't get along very well. And it's really offensive for you to call me Jimbo. I was like, "Well, I didn't know."
Oh.
You know?
Oh.
So I said, "No problem, Jimbo."
Man, what a good night. What a good night. And a couple days away from the 4th. Oh, yeah.
That's it, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm psyched.
That Galactic Girls in that in a chat listening to us tonight. You know that Galactic Girl Sonia?
Mm-hmm.
Holding down the fort over there. Yeah,
I love these crows out here, man.
And we should probably have Roger Hansen and a lot of others. Oh, Barry too. If you want to join me, I'm going to be helping Nancy tonight. She ended up in the hospital, so Jack and I are going to be taking the first part of the show. And I think Roger is coming in to help out too. So if you want to come in, we can talk chemtrails if you want to come in.
I'd like to come in, but I've got stuff to get done.
Sure. It'll be I believe 8 o'clock. No. Your time. You're on the same time as me, so 9 o'clock.
He doesn't. He's not going to listen to you, Barry.
No.
I know. He's like, I'm not going to be there. But okay, so it'll be 8 o'clock. And
No, 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock your time, Barry. 9 o'clock your time.
Send me the link and all that, but I'm not going to be there. But yeah, send me the link.
Yeah.
I just have to do the intergalactic voice.
Intergalactic planetary.
I want to bring in the cosmic
Planetary intergalactic
tonight.
Yeah.
And
straight up Beastie
I
Boys.
listened to David Wilcock last night, and it was interesting, at least.
Sonia knows him.
I'll tell you. You guys should look up that interview with Brent and what's his name? Dershowitz, Alan Dershowitz. I said, it was really impressive.
I listened to his interview with Benny Johnson today, as well as a whole bunch of other people talking about the Diddy case, which was interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Just right along.
I imagine.
Pretty much what I was saying was going to happen is happening, but I also don't think he's going to be let out free because, we can talk about that in the show if you want to. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, let's do that. What are we, like 3 minutes out?
But I think, I'll try to watch that. It sounds like it would be a good interview. I know that the Dinesh D'Souza and Nick Fuentes, I don't like that guy at all, man. He's just a shock jock, and Israel's it's all Israel's fault, man. And that's he's got blinders on. But Dinesh D'Souza, I mean, honestly, put him in his place like you would not believe. But you go to the polls, Alex Jones put up a poll on X, and everybody was saying that Nick was winning the debate, which was definitely not the case. And even Nick was kind of conceding that. If you listen carefully to what he says, he was.
But an Alex Jones poll? Wow. You think that you'll skew, 50 points to Dinesh? Just being Alex Jones, right?
Is just brilliant, man.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I was very impressed with his Nick's debating skills. The guy is talented. I'm not going to take that away from him. And he is smart, but he's also very narrow-minded in his perspective. And that's why I think he lost the debate. He's just, it's the Jews, everything. It's just, there's just no, finally he conceded and saying I more or less agree with Dinesh, but, I don't think we need to have war. And Dinesh never said that we needed to have war. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, man. It was a great debate, though, by really two great minds. For 26 years old, Nick has a great mind. I mean, he's smart, he's quick, he's clever, he's misguided.
You have a man crush, dude. You have a man crush, dude.
No, I don't think so, man.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding with you.
No, definitely not. Like, I'm no fan of Nick, but I'm impressed with his
5, 4, 3.
Not quiet.
Okay.
But no, Dinesh, dude, I mean, what I like about him is his depth of knowledge. He's kind of like you, you know a lot more history than I do. This guy knows history. So that was why he beat Nick, and why other people don't beat Nick in a debate is because most people don't have the knowledge that Nick has, but Dinesh has more. And so he can go back 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 80 years, 100 years and pull those resources as part of his case.
30 seconds.
Oh, God. Do I have time to
Barry,
pee?
you better go pee now. Barry, you better go pee. You better.
Cosmic Galactic Cowboys are going to be coming into the show tonight, so be ready.
Oh, my God.
Oh, and Blue is doing fine,
Look
by
out,
the way.
cats,
She
dogs,
has
and kids.
not looked
Here's
back.
your countdown.
She's doing great.
5,
4, 3, 2, 1. And you are live and back on the radio side for hour 2 of the Censorship Sucks Roundtable radio show right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to hour 2 of the Censorship Sucks Roundtable radio show, Wednesday night edition for July 2nd, 2025. A couple days till the 4th of July. Barry, are you psyched?
Yeah, I have a question for you, man. Does July 4th deserve? Does July 4th get the bullhorn? I think it does. Yeah, let's celebrate.
There you go. Let's get up in the chat for hot dogs. Hashtag hot dogs on the grill. You can't cook them on the 4th of July. They got to go on the grill.
Oh, absolutely.
Barbecue. Although we're in, major fire restrictions still out here.
Well,
so.
hold on here. We don't want them buying Willie's stuff, even though he's a proud sponsor of the show.
No worm hot dogs. If it's a worm-based hot dog, I highly avoid, those. They're frozen. You can't see them wiggle, but when they thaw out, they start wiggling around inside their casings. It's gross.
Nice. Sounds lovely.
Oh, yeah. You cut them in half and they start moving on their own. But you got to also be careful with some of those hot dogs, man. I remember a couple years ago, that was more than a couple, but I bought some hot dogs. I'm sitting at a campfire. I cook one up and I'm, eating on it. It's like, it's whatever. I give half of it to my dog. And my dog looks at it and is like, no, that's not
really?
Food. Yeah.
He's smart.
I put it in his mouth. He took it and kind of dropped it, sniffed it, and just looked at me like, oh, I thought you were eating food.
Yeah, you got to get those all beef hot dogs.
Exactly. Nathan's.
All beef, no mechanically separated stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Nathan's hot dogs are If you missed that, look for our replays on Dregus Productions across social media. Just search Dregus, Dreagus Productions, and he will pop right up, and you'll see our latest streams. And just drop into the first hour. It was really good. It always is an honor and a pleasure to have Brent on. Again, Human Events is such a storied institution, and the guy's like one of the top guys there, the top 3 for sure, which is pretty impressive. But anyways, let's get into some news. I know you were talking about a debate you were watching with Dinesh D'Souza,
Correct.
and Nick Fuentes.
Mhm.
Tell us about that.
It
It
was
just
a-
happened, right?
Yeah, like yesterday, I believe, on the Alex Jones show for about 2.5 hours, and I thought it was riveting, man. I was glued to the set pretty much the whole time, 2.5 hours is a long time, so it was just that riveting, and the mind of Dinesh D'Souza is he's just brilliant, and he never shows his hand. Nick made all kinds of kind of funny expressions, and he's doing his kind of flippant thing, but you never knew what Dinesh was thinking, other than he was thinking, right, for his rebuttal and for his response. And I'm not trying to say that Nick was not anywhere, he was good, don't get me wrong, but he's up against a master like Dinesh, and it's kind of hard to bait and win, in my opinion.
Exactly. Yeah, and Dinesh is a smart guy. And remember, the Obama administration put him in jail, for campaign violations, finance violations that were minor. I think it was a few $1,000s, and it's something that apparently is done all the time, but they went after him with a vengeance because he put out a couple books that directly went after Obama and questioned all kinds of things about his validity and you name it. And so they threw him in jail. He was a political prisoner for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Which is kind of shocking, It's crazy.
Well, Nick tried to call him a neocon based on, some of his positions when Bush was the president. And I've got to hand it to Dinesh. He gave his mea culpas, and he said, man, I was wrong on that. I turned on that neoconservative position, and now I'm, 100% MAGA. And, a lot of people were deceived during the Bush administration, thinking that there really were weapons of mass destruction. We didn't have any. A lot of people didn't know how corrupt things really were at that time. And Dinesh was just, trusting the intelligence that was being fed to us through the news. But since then, he's come awake, and he gave his mea culpa and said he was wrong. And then he turned around and tried to do the same to Nick to make him, do a mea culpa or two, but I can't remember if he actually did that. But it was just a debate that was just really good. And in Nick's defense, man, he's a smart guy. He's misguided, but a smart guy and a great debater, and he's quick on his feet. But by the end of the debate, you could see he was wearing thin, and he was kind of conceding, in my opinion, although online it looked as if most people thought that Nick Fuentes won, but that's because there's a lot of anti-Semitic, I hate Israel, Israel's the problem behind everything on X. That's why so many people supported Nick. Not that he won, but that they support his ideology.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going around right now. It's getting kind of dangerous to real problematic levels, the Jew hatred. And it's getting really open. I mean, the leading candidate for the mayor of New York is, a Hamas supporter. He put out a rap song about it, a number of years ago, talking about how great it is, Hamas is, and all these different Hezbollah and you name it. And, now there was an article that came out from Wayne Allen Root, today, right, where he just really goes scorched earth. And he says that President Trump should sick Pam Bondi on Don't Mess with Zohan Mad Manny and deport him. Rescind his citizenship and deport him, because he was asked specifically if he supported any terrorist organizations during his application for U.S. citizenship. It's a question everyone's asked. And of course, to get admission, you have to say no. So we assume he checked no. And then you have a 5-year period where if you openly come out and say support a terrorist organization by doing, say, a rap song about how great they are, then that can be held against you, and within that 5 year, you can lose your citizenship at that point. And so, Wayne Allen Root is going out and saying, basically, go after him now, nip this in the bud, don't let it take off. Like, you have to be serious about this guy. And really, look at him as someone who, if he just doesn't blow up the city that bad, could potentially become like the next Barack Obama. Nip it in the bud right now, just goodbye, dude, you're out of here. I don't know, that seems a little aggressive, but, Wayne Allen Root, I got to say, his track record is phenomenal.
Well, they tried to play it like, well, he doesn't have those positions now. That was then. And now he's come around. He's not really a socialist communist. That's just the right-wing talking points. I mean, it's the same old. Yeah. And I think CNBC and a couple other people were talking that kind of smack. They have to dial it back, because the guy's a radical, right? So, and they go into damage control. They're not about reporting the news. We all know the fake news is nothing more than activism for the globalist, Democrat, socialist, communist, fascist, one world order.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And this guy is the front runner for it at this point. I mean, he's getting the meetings, he's getting the calls. It wouldn't be surprising to me at this point if George Soros himself hasn't called him off to his island or wherever he is, his lair somewhere, to sit down with him one-on-one.
Yes,
and I guarantee his son Alex Soros and Uma Abedin have had them over to their condo in Manhattan to discuss his future and their support of it, because these are exactly the people. And it's interesting too. This guy's a devout Muslim, but he's adamantly in support of the trans community.
Yeah, that's kind of
that's part of the reason why he wants to get rid of cops.
Right. It's contrary to Muslim belief. So
exactly.
I don't get that.
And pro-Hamas, he's very much pro-Palestine, very pro-Palestine. And Palestine is incredibly anti-gay. Not just trans, but gay.
You think?
Oh, a lot. Yeah, I think a lot. The punishment there is, you jump off a roof.
Well, remember when Henry Kissinger said about Barack Obama, he said, Barack Obama will be the one to bring in the New World Order. And I can see like George Soros. Mm-hmm. Yes, my child, you will bring in the caliphate. You will bring in the intifada. Get their little private meeting. I'm, of course, just joking, but you never know.
And Uma Abedin, I mean, she was married to, what's his name again?
Wiener?
Wiener, yes. I was also trying to simultaneously remember his online pseudonym. Anthony Danger, was it?
Danger.
Carlos Danger. It was Carlos Danger. That was
Danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah. Anthony Wiener. I mean, apparently his insurance laptop, his backup insurance policy laptop, made people throw up when they looked at it. They saw what was on that thing. And apparently, 9 of the 12 people who saw it committed suicide, coincidentally, within the next so many years. Just the heart of evil. It's like the two evil upon evil. The marriage will consummate, and you'll both wear the ring, and the rings will magnify. Wonder Twin powers activate, right?
Yeah.
Into much greater evil.
You will get the power of Sauron, my child.
See, Anthony Weiner couldn't handle that level of negative energy. He turned him to the dark force too hard, and he, turned pedo, and he didn't cover his tracks.
Pedo man.
So, yeah. So, but I mean, she can pick him, can't she? Boy.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a happy little club, And
this is Hillary Clinton's best friend, right?
Who?
Uma Abedin is Hillary Clinton's BFF forever. They're best friends forever.
They were like lovers. That was the whole scuttlebutt there, that they were a pair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Either way, though, she has shown her sensei the proper path to the core of evil in America.
Yes, my child.
Yeah. And why we allow the Tides Foundation and Open Society Foundation, all these other, Soros-run groups to even operate in the United States. There are so many countries that have banned them completely. It's illegal.
Hungary has banned George Soros, I think, completely. Lena.
Yeah. And he's from Hungary.
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
I mean, that's his native country.
Yeah. What's the girl's name that's a representative in Congress? Lena. She's a Republican. She's very, very, proactive patriot. Luna. That's it. Yes, she was saying we need to bring George Soros into Congress to testify.
I saw that.
I've been saying for the longest time, I said, I think, and this is just my personal opinion, I've been saying this for years, I think that George Soros will be one of the first big names to be arrested. And I mean big names, not one of the first people to be arrested, but at that level, he'll be one of the first. Because he's just done, in my opinion, and the opinion of so many others, so many crimes, dude. It's just piled up high. I mean, the man has just a powerful force of destruction. And I think he needs to be held accountable. And if there's crimes there, we need to find out.
Yeah, I mean, my first question is, you're known as the man who broke the British pound. How much money did you make off of destroying the currency of the UK? Right? How much money personally did you make off of all the starvation and hurt and pain that you caused to those people? And to have Alex sit right next to him, because, hey, man, you're part of this. You're deep. You're the heir to the throne.
He basically shuns all accountability. He goes, well, if I didn't do it, somebody else would have done it. As if that's an excuse to do it, right?
Sure. Yeah. I did it because it was there, because it could be done.
Somebody would have done it. Might as well be me.
Yeah. It's, what's his name's character in Wall Street? Greed is good. Gordon Gekko.
Right.
That mentality, right? Greed is good. Greed is what makes this country work. Greed is what's going to put, the food on your table. Yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I support capitalism? Absolutely. But, hey, man, there's also a level where you just see somebody on an international basis going around and forming these color revolutions around the country so that he can specifically manipulate and profit from the deconstruction of the currencies and the governments behind those countries. It's pure evil. It's pure evil. I know I've got the money, I can afford it. I'll send all these people into, I don't know, Serbia, start a color revolution there, and then short the heck out of the currency and make millions. Because I'm on the ground there and I know what's about to happen. I know they're about to storm Parliament. So boom, sell, go, fire. I got my position locked in, run in there and storm Parliament.
Yeah.
Right?
I've said it this before.
Dirty stuff.
I don't think that most people can handle the kind of money that some of these people have these days, like the Elon Musk has, or the George Soros has, or the Jeff Bezos have, because then it gives them this God complex, man. And then it just feeds the ego. And before you know it, they're out of control. Ask yourself this: how many people at that level do you know they're actually using that money for charity? And I mean real charity, not fake stuff like vaccinations and, depopulating the world.
I think like a Warren Buffett is probably the best billionaire, multi-billionaire we have out there. I think he mostly has good intentions for the country and is a capitalist at heart and really wants to see America be America.
Except for him and Bill Gates.
Yeah, I know.
I know. Want to basically, do whatever they can to reduce the world population, and he wants wants power too. So he's kind of twisted as well, man.
He also, the Gates. Buffett Foundation. Buffett tied his foundation to the Bill Gates, and so I'll give you that. But I don't think he went into that with the evil intentions, really thinking Bill Gates was who he is. I don't think he really understood the complexity of a guy like Bill Gates.
Well, maybe, but I know that Elon Musk, probably out of all of those billionaires, at least he gave some money to people that were, needing money to defend themselves in free speech cases. I consider that real charity, because you can't fight this system and win without some money behind you. And when you got Elon money, that kind of levels the field a little bit.
Yeah, it was about a year ago that my brand new Starlink just died, and I was screaming bloody murder about what a thief that company was. And then they turned around, they did good by me, and they've done good by me ever since. So, yeah, Elon, Starlink is my only experience with any of his businesses, but it's been a good one so far. I saw somebody over here the other day that had a Tesla truck. And so I got right up in it and I got to really look at it. And it not only is the thing ugly, it's got the worst corners on it. When you look at an old classic car, you look at the lines.
Yeah.
Are the panels all lined up perfectly? Are the same gap all the way through? This thing was right off the assembly line. And, if you tried to slide across the front hood and caught the corner, it would tear you'd have stitches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think the Cybertruck is very attractive myself. So.
Oh, and I thought it'd grow on me. I really thought it'd grow on me by now. It hasn't.
The black one looks kind of cool, but I'm not a big fan of the silver one, and it just, I don't know, it doesn't even look futuristic so much to me. Maybe it would fit in like a Mad Max movie or something. It looks more along the lines of something like that.
Well, you say black one. Is that just a wrap, or do they actually make a black one?
I don't know if it was somebody painted it or if they manufacture them that way, but I've seen a few that are black and it looks pretty.
Yeah.
And they've got, murdered out, American flag on there, murdered out black, and it looks pretty cool. Patriotic stuff in black, just all over it. It looks cool.
Yeah, I think it's like the Model T when they said, yeah, it comes in every color as long as you only want black. I think it only comes in that metallic color, the raw steel, or aluminum or whatever it is. But yeah, I've seen a lot of them with different wraps, and I've seen like an orange one. Ugh, it was horrible. I don't know.
Maybe they're for the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Who knows? Yeah,
well, either way, I thought it'd grow on me, and that Tesla truck has not. And even getting a close-up look at it, the one thing I could see is if you could get a really good cab over on the thing, like a pop-up cab over.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like it's got a lot of room, and you could run electronics for weeks. I mean, you could have a gaming room back there, run, the highest end PC on the planet for a month off the battery charge, But anyway, folks, we are all out of time. Barry and I will be right back after this short message with more of the Censorship Sucks Roundtable radio show right after this.
And we're on radio break.
Sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet.
Cecilia.
I haven't seen her around in a while.
Really? Well, she's upset that I haven't said it. That's why.
You haven't called her out in a while, yeah.
Oh.
Last I heard, she lost her phone. Last time
Let's all three talk at the same time. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Okay.
And let's see who actually can be heard. I think it would be you, Mark, because you have the controls.
Yeah. Well, I can also push this and make me like 6 dB higher than everybody else.
That's right. That's exactly right. You're a cheat, man. You're a cheater.
I want to hear you say, Cecilia, I want to sire a son with you in Sacramento.
I want a what?
Sire a son from you in Sacramento.
Sire? What is that?
Well, raise
make kids with your.
I don't think that's what I'm going to say.
Well, okay. Well, come up with a sentence that every word starts with S.
I can't do it on spot, man. It's just got to be natural.
Man, you're no fun.
No.
Well, see, that's what I was trying to do. That's why it was so awkward, but I was trying to do that off the top of my head. I think sire is a name for you can sire children.
You shall call me sire from here on out, my child.
Sire is what vampires do to make more vampires.
Oh, yeah, well, that makes sense then.
I am Lord Soros.
All right, so
I think that's where that word got big at. Before it was in like the, what was it? The medieval days where, you called the king and queen sire and, all of the royalty.
Exactly. That's what I was referring to there.
But and they kind of changed some wording in that. Young Zen in the Kick Chat. Thanks for the emotes, buddy.
There you go.
That? It sounded
It
like
beat his
Nancy
meat.
typing.
He was masturbating. He was masturbating.
I'm an old man.
That was that scene from There's Something About Mary.
Something about Mary.
Yeah, remember the
Ben
scene
Stiller.
where
Ben Stiller.
yeah, he ties his balls into his pants when he's trying to pull up his
Oh my God.
zipper, and the retarded brother was screaming, "He was masturbating!" when he wasn't, he was just trying to take a leak. And that's a great movie.
Speaking of Ben Stiller, I mean, he did the what was it? He wasn't he did the what was the model thing where he did,
Yeah. What is it? It's oh God, what's his name? Yeah, the modeling movie. Yes, that guy. I can't remember the character's name though. As soon as I hear it.
Yeah,
I know Hansel was the other guy.
Woke too, man. I saw a video of him just being as woke as could possibly be about Kamala, and I was like, and he knows, and you could tell he knows nothing about politics whatsoever. But he was just
that interview, yeah.
He was just doing his thing because they told him to, get behind Kamala.
30 seconds, folks.
Yeah, he's like, they just watch Fox News. They don't know what's going on. 70 million people. It's such a shame.
Free speech.
No
We
idea
gotta
what's happening.
call for free speech. I think he said something probably like that. Because she's so free speech, right?
Oh, yeah, and DK Spiracy is over in the D Live. Here's your countdown. 3, 2, 1, and you're live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Hour 2 of the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show. It is such an honor to have each and every one of you out there listening in. We love doing this show, and it's just a great opportunity to
Certain unique style, man. I like it. He's definitely in the zone with his vibe. He's got a certain vibe about himself, Yeah.
Pizza burger. Anyway, let's dive into some huge news that is developing over the last week and a half or so. From Gateway Pundit, headline, huge, dirty FBI blocked investigation into 2020 Chinese mail-in voting scam to protect Chris Wray, who likely lied to Congress about said information. This is big stuff. Kash Patel is coming out and saying the FBI has located documents which detail alarming allegations related to the 2020 U.S. election, including allegations of interference by the CCP. I've immediately declassified the material and turned the documents over to the Chairman Grassley for further review. This was actually dated June 16th, right? So that was, as I said, this is developing over the last few weeks. What has come out today now is that information was released by Chuck Grassley, and it firmly shows that this was known. This was in there. They buried it because, quote, the reporting will contradict Director Wray's testimony.
Mm-hmm.
This is insanely important. I mean, the FBI is covering up. What they know is Chinese interference with the U.S. elections by them creating tens and tens of thousands of fake IDs, fake ballots, all the stuff we talked about. We covered it back in the day. But no one listened because they said, whatever. Yeah, that's just fake news. That's QAnon. It's fake news. Don't listen to those guys. But here we are in 2025, and it's real. It's proven. It's fact. It just took 4 years for the FBI to spit out the evidence to show us it's a fact when, in fact, this was an attack on our election. On our elections by China, who clearly wanted Joe Biden in office.
Oh, yeah.
For obvious reasons. They had Hunter, they're giving out diamonds, all this money, you name it. Bought and paid for by the Chinese government. Joe Biden should be ashamed of himself. Grassley, thank you. Christopher Wray, you're going to jail, buddy.
Kind of looks that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's some people going to jail here.
I can't wait, man. I'm ready for a first set of arrests, and I think the American public is as well. We really need it for the morale, and I think once that happens, we'll be able to take a little bit deeper of a breath and go, oh, okay, so this thing is all headed in the right direction. We just got to give it some time. But we need to see at least a first set of arrests to sort of set the tone.
And I've always said they have to be super legitimate. They have to be legitimate beyond anything. And here is Christopher Wray hiding evidence about an intrusion into our elections. The cleanest and best elections of all times. Everyone always said anybody who questions the integrity of the 2020 elections is a traitor, right? January 6th, all that stuff, traitor. Because we said this is fishy. Why did 20 million extra votes come out of thin air? Or 10 million extra votes come out of thin air, right? I mean, look at the numbers between 2026 and 2020. 2024 and 2020 and 2016. Look at those three elections. And 2020 had a gigantic spike that is all in Joe Biden's column. This was proof that China had something to do with that. There were a million different factors that went into why that election was stolen. And I could get into them all. I mean, the press, the millions of stories they covered up and the fake ones that they advanced. On and on and on. That election was skewed and nasty and brutal and ugly, and they cheated and they won, and then they called anybody who questioned it a traitor. And this is them. Finally, like I said, it's got to be a rock solid evidence against somebody. They covered this up to cover for the fact that he lied in Congress about it. And beyond, I think even if he didn't have to lie about it, they would have covered it up anyway. They were never going to let this see the light of day.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Had Kamala
This is the kind of thing that when you explain it to somebody, they go, yeah, that guy should be in jail. So throw him in jail. Let's go. Let's get this trial. I'm sorry, 2020.
And then
sorry, Barry, go ahead.
Once the evidence comes out, it's proven he's guilty beyond measure, and they throw the book at him and put him behind bars. What do you think the media is going to do? Do you think they're just going to avoid talking about it, or do you think they're going to try to mitigate it and make it sound less than it actually is? Or do you think for once they'll have some integrity and go, yeah, this is just like a stain on American history and it's something horrible and we were all wrong? Do you think they'll admit that? I just find that hard to believe, man. I'd like to think that they would, but I don't see it happen.
Yeah, they'd like to just outlive their shame. You know what I mean? They'd like to just live in sort of a quiet shame, like a Jake Tapper who writes this book and, admits that, we all trusted the White House, who would never lie to us about his, capacity as president, Joe Biden. I mean, literally, everybody says the guy is, dementia. And he, for 4 years, says, no, he's not. He's, as everyone on the show saying he's the smartest guy in the world. Hey, look, I interviewed 100 people. They all said he was the smartest person in the world. Best, sharpest mind in the room. So how do you blame me? You asked the wrong people. On and on. Anyway, I'm riled up, man. Barry, I'm riled up about all this stuff. This is treason. And we've got him hard and cold. And this is the kind of thing, because it's easy to explain to somebody, what did he do? Well, China interfered in the 2020 election. He hid it, and then he lied to Congress about it. Oh,
China,
okay, yeah.
China. As Trump always said, man. That's why they always hated him talking bad about China, because China's probably behind a lot of the bad stuff that happened, including the COVID-19 and the release of that little bad boy and a cover-up of that.
Yeah. And then there was the dossier that linked Russia and Trump together, with some fake bake thing and everything. This dossier that they leaned on for 4 years to get all these, undercover warrants, these FISA warrants to spy on Trump. Shockingly illegal. Yeah. It was Christopher Wray's FBI that signed on to all that and advanced all of it and then pushed it out into the press, leaked everything they could. It was being treasonous, man. Treason is the only word I can describe for what happened during that period in history here. And you ask Barry how history will look back on this, or when it will be erased, or when it'll be, people will come up and fess up about it. When people like Christopher Wray go to jail and get locked up and convicted guilty for treason, that's life, if not worse. You know what I'm saying?
Let's
That's
get it going, man.
treason.
I'm ready. I'm ready for arrest, indictments, and convictions, man. There's nobody that's wants it as much as me. I mean, there's some that do, but you know what I mean. I so desperately think it's important for MAGA, for America, and then we can kind of start pushing even more forward. Once we get that behind us, that's going to be like a lot of extra wind behind the sail.
Yeah, we have to admit that there were a bunch of scumbags that were affiliated with communist adversarial countries that, did their best to try to influence the United States government in every way possible to benefit our adversaries. And they were paid hard cash to do it. And we come to the table, here's the money, here's the quid, here's the pro, and here's the quo. Let's go. Convict, convict, convict. Treason, treason, treason. A lot of people out there have undersold our country for $1, and a lot of people helped them who didn't even get a fraction of those monies. All these people in the mainstream media that are just out there parroting the talking points from the far left are just as guilty as any one of these people who did it. I don't know, Barry. I'm ranting a little bit. I gotta calm down. Should we change subjects, or why don't you take it there and wrap up this one, and then we'll go to the next subject.
Well, you said something about how we're just trusting what the White House was saying about, Biden and him being coherent and sharp as a tack. And but dude, I mean, it's obvious the guy was suffering from cognitive decline. We knew that before he even got the nominee as the Democrat presidential nominee. You know what I'm saying? We knew that during the debates when the Democrat debates, right? We knew it then.
Oh, yeah.
And it was obvious then. So for them to say they're that clueless, I mean, sure, okay, they could have said, okay, well, everybody's telling us this, but it doesn't look that way. So at least we need to give both sides of the story, because that's what journalists do. They give two sides of every story. But no, they just go, oh, we trust and obey, because that's what they are. They just trust and obey. But do they really trust, or is it just them obeying? I think it's just them obeying, because they know that's who pretty much is, keeping their paycheck going as well. It's because it's all interconnected. USAID, the government, the pharmaceutical industrial complex, all of it is just like an evil machine. And the wheels are just spinning and spinning, and they all work together. And so you don't want to mess up any one part of it. If you put a wrench in one part of it, it could mess up a whole bunch of it. So they all come together. They're loyal to each other.
Yeah. And they all live in a place called Washington, D.C., which is sort of the swamp, It's that cesspool. The city built on a swamp that now is just the power center of the world, And which party has the power is what's going on. So, I mean, you've got a bunch of people now. Well, we got a poll that came out showing Donald Trump is like 64% approval at this point from,
Right.
And they're saying, like, even Ronald Reagan didn't have those numbers. No president 5 months in has had these numbers. And they're just kind of blown away. Like, this is, among Republicans who have, like, extreme or very, very good, thinking stuff, it's 63%. That's not including I think he's doing an okay job. That's just I really like what he's doing, people in the Republican Party. So shocking. And yet, this cesspool out there in Washington, D.C., these people that live there and have made their lives there, who have been tied into this failing Democratic Party, are in panic, as they are in the U.K. The Tories and the whatever reform is taking over. It's the U.K. is seeing the same thing happening with their entrenched two-party system falling apart at the seams. And here we are. It's happening here in America, so it's a good thing. And, you talk about going after the power people. The auto pen pardon. Ron Paul is preparing to subpoena Tony Fauci.
I saw that.
He accepted that pardon, be it auto pen or not, be it valid or not. He accepted it. And they're going to put him in there and say, hey, you have immunity. You got to testify. What did you do to allow the gain of function to occur? Did you pay for it? On and on, under oath.
Yeah.
You could be arrested for perjury.
Could get interesting.
It could get interesting, because there's a dude who, again, okay, let's make it simple for the public. Okay, the public, hey, they want to hang Fauci. Whoa, wait a minute. Fauci, we love that guy, right? Isn't he the best? What did he do? Oh, he actually designed the gain of function virus. He created COVID in a lab in China and then set it loose and got paid huge money to do it. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's hang that guy. It's got to be simple. People got to understand what, you got to explain it in 2 sentences. He created COVID-19 in a lab in China. He paid for
Bet
it.
you anything, though, there's going to be some Democrats will say, well, that's a good thing, man. He was just trying to stop Trump. I mean, seriously, there are Democrats that are that deranged that they would literally say,
well, yeah,
well, that was a good thing that he did that. I mean, yeah, it came with consequences, but we had to stop Trump because that was Hitler.
Yeah, we talk about the New World Order, the Bilderbergs and the WEF. These are the type of people that cheer this on. They create it. They make this happen. You think this all happened in a vacuum, folks? No, no. This didn't happen in a vacuum. We paid for it. America paid for it all in tax dollars. And that's why they scream bloody murder when Doge goes in there and tries to take a look at something like USA. They find, it's all just, dirty money funding these color revolutions in all these different countries.
Mm-hmm.
God only knows what else, Like,
maybe P. Diddy parties. Who knows? Who knows where it goes to, right? It just
understandable.
Kind of disappears, right?
Fauci's the guy, man. He's another guy that really deserves to be, and have Rand Paul subpoena him. Boom. I will cancel anything I have planned that day and watch every minute of that live.
I mean, I think his arrest would be celebrated pretty much around the world if it happened. I think there are states that are looking into possible indictments right now, maybe 5 or 6 states, I think.
Yeah.
We talked about that before. So even if the federal government can't touch him because he has immunity, maybe the states can. I think there's going to be, as more and more evidence comes out, not that there's a shortage of it, but at some point it's just steamrolled to the point where you can't ignore it anymore. And then, of course, he will go to jail if proven guilty, which I think most people think he is.
Yeah. And there's a million ways, too, they can catch him, right? So it's a perjury trap at that point. If you think about it, if you want to picture the scenario where he has to leave there in handcuffs, it's a perjury trap. Did you fund this? No, I didn't fund it. Okay, well, here's evidence that you did. Do you want to recant that? No, I still say I didn't fund that. You're looking at it the wrong way. Okay, you're lying to me. We got your signature on this. See this extra, exhibit? See? Here's your signature. Are you telling me again that you didn't fund? Oh, well, maybe we funded that, but not, COVID. Well, this, you link it back to him. By the end of it, you've got the guy dead to right. He just admitted on C-SPAN to the world that, yeah, he did it and he paid for it and it's a thing. I don't know. That's how you get him. You get it all out there live on C-SPAN, and then boom, at the end of it, you say, marshals, whatever, please, arrest him, or at least, put that into, have Pam Bondi walk in there and be like, yeah, we've got enough to charge you. So, you're under arrest. And she personally, puts the cuffs on him. It'd be beautiful. I would cry. I would cry a little.
I probably would too in celebration, but I think he won't be arrested right off the bat here, like anytime soon. I think, like you were saying, they need to dot all the I's, cross all the T's, and so they need to put the process of educating the public so that they know who this monster is and possibly what he's done. And so it may happen, I don't know, maybe 2.5 more years from now or something like that. But he's sweating bullets, man, too, which is also part of his punishment, right? This guy, dude, he doesn't look well. He's aged dramatically ever since the shamdemic. And that's probably from all the stress, fear, and worry of what awaits him, if he faces trial.
Yeah, and I bet he wants to look a little stressed and frail and all that stuff for the cameras, so they just look like they're picking on an old man. He's like one of the few people that would go into his barber and say, hey, can you make me look 10 years older? Can you add some gray up top and really just some wrinkles and whatnot? I want to really look, stressed. Like I'm just a frail old man who no prosecutor.
Yeah, why would they
Joe
pick on
Biden?
me? I'm just a good man trying to help. I just got all the for everybody.
What did they say about Joe Biden? He just came across like a nice old confused man.
Oh, yeah. Uncle Joe.
That kind of look.
Uncle Joe. He's the kind of guy you just want to, hang out, throw the baseball around with, and, have some ice cream with.
Throw the baseball around with Joe Biden in his heyday. That's like in Chuck Schumer's best day in his 20s. You couldn't throw a baseball around with that guy, Well,
at least hang out and have some ice cream with him, right?
Yeah. Let's see. There's a couple more to get into. JFK unloads disturbing vaccine secrets on the Tucker Carlson show.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
I thought it was RFK.
Did I said yeah, RFK. Sorry, RFK Jr., the head of HHS, who was saying he revealed the health agency buried a 1999 internal study led by researcher Thomas Verstraeten, which showed an alarming 1,135% increase in autism risk from hepatitis B vaccines. 1,100% increase in autism risk from hepatitis B, and they buried it. On and on and on. Again, whoever did this stuff, this is this kind of stuff you go to jail for. Wait, Trump's arresting another politician. What did this guy do? Oh, he hid the fact that, hepatitis B vaccines gave kids autism in staggering numbers. Oh, well, that's kind of a thing. Mike has autism. Is this related to that? Well, did he get a hepatitis B vaccine? Sure. He got 9 of them. He had 15 of them by the time he was 4.
Yeah.
Like, really? 15 hepatitis B vaccines?
They can get up to like 90 vaccines, like before they're the age of 6 or something like that. It's between like 64 and like 92 or something like that. RFK Jr. was talking about it. And the reason it might be in the 90s is because some of the shots, depending on which ones you take, have multiple shots, right? Maybe three or four doses, whereas the other one may only have 1.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I see scenarios now where kids go in and they get 10 vaccines at once in 1 dose. Heck, the minute you're born, they just pump you full of vaccines. And you can't tell me all of that is necessary. I'm
an anti-vaxxer, and I'm proud of it. All these people, like if somebody were called, well, look, he's an anti-vaxxer. I'd be like, yeah, and I'm proud of it. Thank you. I mean, that doesn't hurt my feelings. Like some people get all upset when somebody says, oh, you're an anti-vaxxer. I'm an anti-vaxxer. I have no problem with it. Mock me, whatever. It's my stance, and I'm proud of it.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, in the few minutes we have left, we can either talk about how 60 Minutes settled with Donald Trump and his lawsuit, or P. Diddy. Let's go with 60 Minutes. Yeah. Paramount CBS settles, immediately giving Donald Trump $15 million, and then apparently another $15 million to come. He sued them for $20 billion over their deceptive editing of Kamala Harris's interview right before the election. And recall that they would never release the transcript under no circumstances. So he sued him, and they settled out of court. Boom, settle, $30 million bucks, make it go away.
Mm-hmm. Fake news.
That's garbage, though, man. This happened right before the election. We covered it extensively when it went down, and they just get away with it. I mean, $30 million is a lot of money, but they're just getting away with it here. It's a slap on the wrist.
It kind of is. I mean, $30 million is not that much money to them.
No, and look at what they did. Yeah,
well, Trump calls them fake news, right? Because that's about as fake as you can possibly be. I mean, literally making them say something they did. Said, I think Donald Trump is the worst president ever. That's called fake news. That's exactly what they did.
Well, they didn't do exactly that. What they did is she came out and said, they asked her about, I don't know, the Israel war or something.
They were different questions.
Yeah. And she just came out and went, derp, word salad, derp. And then they asked her the same question or similar question again and later, and she actually gave a decent answer to it. And so they clipped the derp with the real, the good answer and played that as if it was organic when it wasn't.
The principle is the same. You know what I'm saying? You're literally putting something together that they did not say.
Mm-hmm. And it's garbage. It's why the news is garbage. But anyway, let's also cover P. Diddy. P. Diddy, mixed results came in his trial today. The jury came in and found him guilty of some lesser offenses, but innocent of some of the larger ones. So looks like he's going to walk in probably, I don't know. Do you think he'll look at any jail time? How familiar are you with this, Barry?
Well, I said on the show on Sunday that, it looks like he's probably not going to be held accountable for much, if anything at all. And it'll probably, according to Alan Dershowitz, be appealed, and then very likely that all the charges will be dropped against him. Now, on the other side of that, there are other lawsuits against Diddy, and those that are close to the case, and at least one person I know of that is, suing Diddy. The scuttlebutt is that there is going to be more charges brought against him in the future. So, and I also said that on the show on Sunday. I said, don't think for a moment just because he gets let off now that he's let off for good. Because this is a season of great disclosure where those people like him are going to be exposed and deposed. And that means they will be brought down from their little place of power and held accountable through our judicial system, and arrest, indictments, and convictions will take place, man. You just have to have your finger on the pulse. You have to be able to interpret the signs of the times and the trends, the paradigm shift that we're experiencing. He's not going to get off. You can mark my words. He is not going to get off scot-free, no matter what it looks like. It may take a few more years for it to happen, but he's going to jail, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know. This feels like a. I'm trying to remember who it was. Was it? I don't know. Another celebrity who basically got innocent on the trial, but then all the civil stuff came later. Was it O.J. Simpson that I'm thinking of? Where you're found innocent, but then you go to civil and you're guilty, guilty, across the board because the preponderance of evidence versus the beyond a reasonable doubt.
Well, the assassination of John F. Kennedy was that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a scenario where it's probably not over. Is going to continue. There'll probably be more mockery and that end for a good while, but he'll be back doing his parties probably in no time.
Well, we know that there was a lot of evidence that was never presented, so that those could be used in new charges. The evidence that was used. So
we hear a lot about baby oil, but the mineral oil never even came up. There was a lot of mineral oil, thousands of gallons of it, drums of it, that they never even introduced into evidence. But anyway, folks, we are out of time. That doesn't mean Dragus Productions doesn't have more content coming from you. In fact, it is the exact opposite. This is the end of the Censorship Sucks Roundtable radio show, but stay tuned for much more from our producer, Mark.